Hey, how's it going? Uh, Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. I apologize for the chainsaw going on in the background. Apparently, it's that time of season where everybody's trimming their trees and getting the yards up and coming off the cold or whatever. I'm gonna have to get to that myself a little bit later, but I wanted to knock out this episode and visit with y'all before I did all that. I'm going to tune up a lawnmower for the first time. I never have before. Heard a lot of people talk about it. Shouldn't be that hard, right? I'm sure there's a YouTube tutorial for that one. Let's see. Thank y'all for subscribing, for your comments, and for the sharing it with friends or what have you. Thank you for emailing me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. I appreciate that. I appreciate making this a symbiotic relationship where I share with y'all and you share back. So thank you for that. My teeth feel all weird. This morning I went to get 3 fillings done on my teeth. One was a chip tooth, and the other 2 were, the dentist called them shadows, basically like baby cavities. Or cavities that were threatening to happen. But I've gotten really good at going to the dentist over the years. It's this, you just put yourself in this meditative state and you get ready for it. I opted out of the gas today. No real reason. I just felt really relaxed. It was at 8 in the morning. So it was my day off, and I still put it at 8 in the morning and have to get up at the crack of dawn. I have a lot to do today, so including this episode. So I scheduled it at 8 in the morning, and you don't have a lot of time to really, get anxious about or anything. I'm not really one of those, not with the dentist. I know the pain that's coming. I know the discomfort that's coming. And if you just tell yourself that, like I've had, like, what's the worst that the dentist can do? Now, don't get yourself really scared about it, because that's not going to help anybody. I've seen stories, I've heard stories, and I've seen in real life some horror stories about dentists being, where they do nerve damage and things like that. We're not going to put it all that. For the most part, that's the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? If you have a quality dentist and you've established a relationship over time, and they take, they're usually you got like root canals, where they put caps, where you have to drill down your tooth and put a cap on it, stuff like that. When you've had the worst, or the most that they can do, then you can kind of gauge the rest of it. That sounds really like callous, but it's true. I've had a root canal. I've had several. My teeth were a hot mess because I never went to the dentist early on, and now, I'm trying to get back. COVID was a kick in the scheduling, but you know what I mean. Where I got off of a lot of good habits, or a lot of habits in general, and but I got really good at going to the dentist like twice a year, every 6 months, right? I hate it because my my mouth feels all, certain parts feel still kind of tingy, and then where they put the shots in. See, okay. What's the number one thing that people are afraid of with dentists? I mean, the sound of the drill is an activator, but what is it that really bug people? It's typically the shots, okay? Well, I could tell you from like playing catch up on my dental, like, health, that the shots, the worst part of the shots is later on, like after the procedure. Because like my dentist uses like this stuff, it's like a gel, and he puts it on, and you don't feel your gums. And then he's like, "Are you numb?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he starts like a pin cushion starts sticking me with these shots, and he like gets my lip and he's wiggling it, and so you don't really feel it. You kind of like know it's happening, and you're like, "Oh, that," it just feels like not, it doesn't feel like a shot, like, like booster shots or like these um immunity shots or whatever you call them, like the so but and then I really don't feel anything once he does the shots. Although I will say, like, when they say you're gonna feel a little pressure, and then he sits on my face with these, really shoving different things or whatever, getting all this stuff done. His assistant had that, the sucky thing that, because listen, I'm a producer of saliva. I used to go into the dentist and like hand them a card and say, just to let you know, I develop a lot of spit. And that came from like early on when they would be like constantly, and then I had to be like, okay, like, just to let you know, you know, let's talk about the elephant in the room, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd really have to I would honestly let them know that, that I was a producer. But now that I've been going there for a long time, they kind of, we've got like a thing where we already know how to handle it or whatever. But I don't know what happened to his assistant. She got the tube and she shoved it right down the middle of my throat. I mean, my head went back and I went, oh! And she goes, "Oh, just making sure you're awake." I'm like, but it didn't cut me or anything. It just freaked me out because, it was like being intubated right in the middle of a normal dental procedure. It's very horrible. But yeah, so I know my wife's super anxious about going to a dentist, but she like has no cavities. So like, the hell's your problem? Like, I guess because she never had it. Like, I've never flown on a plane, so I have a very strong irrational fear of flying. So I guess that's, but I know people, like, I have cousins that work on airplanes and like attendants and stuff that fly like all the time, and they think my fear, well, I'm sure they would think my fear is ridiculous. But anyway, so I did some dental work today, and then right after that I went to, I bought a new used car. My car, that I'm going to have my son work on and take over, is coming up on 200,000 miles, but it's one of those kind of cars that, can last. But it was like, I mean, I'm due for a new used car because, I mean, rounding out that 200,000 mile mark, you put in your work, time to get a new one. So, but when you buy a new used car, they had a couple of items that they wanted to to spit polish at the end. So they had me go by the dealership so I could, go take care of these things. So right after I went to the dentist, I went out there and like half my face I couldn't feel. I was like trying to drink and like bubbles coming out of my mouth and whatever, and trying to get the guy to take me seriously, and I really want the work to be done good, please, but he was nice. Okay, so here's the whole thing. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not a fan. Who is, right? My wife loves shopping, but who likes? Nobody, even my wife, nobody likes car shopping. Maybe a lot of the times car salespeople get a bad reputation, but and it brought to mind something that I've kind of I'm coming to terms with now, and I'll tell you what that is. Because here's the thing. I've relied a lot in my life on luck. And I never wanted to admit that. You think, well, I'm a clever person, I'm smart, or what have you. But in a lot of decision making, I would find myself saying, let's just go with it. We'll take that. I think that's the way to go. And then just by sheer luck, I've been fortunate. I'll give you an example. So on my last go around, in my car shopping experience, it was worse. I was really, because they used to call me Grand Theft Auto because I would have like a new car all the time. Like I just would find myself just needing a new car or getting a new car. But like, for example, I I bought this one like minivan, and I got such a good deal that when I sold the minivan, I made money on that deal because I just got a really great deal on it. So I walked away with more money. Not even intending to jip anybody. It's a stupid story, to be honest with you. I knew a guy, and he knew the value of the minivan, and he was, it wasn't my idea. But this guy was like, "Oh, you want to sell your minivan?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get what I sold for it, what I bought it for." And he says, I've got somebody in my family that needs the vehicle." And he said, "If you sell it and let me broker the deal, I'll throw a couple extra $100 on it." And so what he ended up doing was, and this is all, the ethics on this are beyond, but it's not on my end because it was his deal. He ended up selling to his own family members. He bought the van and then like put a little in his own pocket. And then gave me the amount, a little bit over whatever I was asking. I remember that always stuck in my mind, like, Jesus, it's his own family. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I made out okay. But then that's on him. It's whatever he wants to do. I wasn't going to be like, "Hey, before I make this deal, just know that this dude's trying to, scam me." I wasn't going to be all like that. Well, anyway, so the last time I bought a vehicle, I went with the wife to a auto dealership, and all of the red flag signs were there, because I was walking in the lot, and I point at this car that's in the dock area, like the service area. It had one of those stickers on it, but it didn't have like a for sale, like where they have all the paperwork in it. It just had like the white page sticker, whatever. Anyway, he said that car just came in right now. It hasn't gone through inspection, whatever. And I said, "Well, how much would that be?" And then he's like, "Actually, it's low miles, or it's good price. You want to come look at it?" So let me get the keys, he says. He starts it. He says, here you go. And it wouldn't start. Now, the smart people in the audience right now are thinking, so you walked away, right? It was over. That's the end of the story. You avoided you dodged a bullet. Not me. The salesman says, oh, no. We just received this. Sounds like it's a bad battery. We'd get that changed out for you before we would send it on its way with you, right? That was one of the red flags. And it seemed to pass through the 100-point inspection pretty quick. So, long story short, I took the car because they put a brand new battery. And I mean, that, wow, it's a hot dog. I drove it home, and when I tell you it was the next day, literally the next day, I turned the car back on, and a service light pops up on the dashboard. So I take it to AutoZone, and when they do a free computer check of what the indicating light, references. And the guy's like, oh, you know how like there's a ring of death on an Xbox, like where it has that light. That's what this is. It's basically telling you that within the next X amount of miles, your transmission's gonna just blow up. And I always had this mentality that things just work out. Things just, and I guess on a long enough scale, I guess they do. But so, and here's some more. I mean, I'm just admitting the lessons that I've learned and still learn. I'm still learning even to this day. Okay. Because I thought I was being super smart and said, you know what, we don't need that warranty. And I said to my wife, I said, you just you're spending all this money, and then you just set aside some money for a mechanic. When the time comes, we'll pay out of that. No sense in paying for these. It's not like, listen, it's not like buying a laptop from Best Buy, okay? Like, you don't need right? Like there, you don't need the warranty, because computers within a year are going to upgrade, and you won't, all that argument, right? That was what I told my wife. It's like, just like you don't need that, you don't need a warranty on a car, right? So basically it had an as-is sticker on it. And the only saving grace was that an argument was made that they knowingly sold us and fraudulently stated that the car had transmission issues, and they had knowledge of it prior to the sale. That's like the legalese, like the stuff, the nitty gritty. Because I mean, my wife and her mom just, they're pretty dangerous with an email or a phone call. I don't know. They did their research. The next thing you know, they had not like they were in contact with all these other dealerships and found out that the dealership knew that the transmission was faulty prior to putting a Band-Aid on it and selling it. So apparently you can't do that. You can't lie and say that it's of one quality and then say it's as is. All right. And maybe they just didn't want the headache, because it got to be a headache pretty quick. To their credit, and I give all thanks to them, I was ready to be like, so should I just run the car into the dealership window and take a sledgehammer to some windshields? I mean, I didn't have any ideas. It was all going to be a dramatic end where I would have ended up in jail. I'm being facetious, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, here's what happened. So they gave me a rent-a-car, and I told them, dude, I'm all over town. At the time, I was averaging like 400 or 500 miles a week, and they thought they were showing how cool they were by putting me in a brand new car with 0 miles on it, and like in 1 week, I put 500 miles on it. And then they were like, well, maybe we get you a used car to sort of drive around in. And they put me in this really nice, I mean, I considered it very nice. When I got into the car, it smelled like old people. That's a great sign. If you're ever buying a car, get in. And if it smells like old people, then some people took care of it. Okay. Odds are they took it for oil changes and drove it like 2 miles to the grocery store, and they have to pay for that kind of advice. I just give it to you for free. Okay. I don't tell you to wait to the end of the episode to get the information. I'll tell you right now. All right. So anyway, got in the car, smelled like old people, and then I said, hey, listen, I can get these people off your backs. I'll tell my wife to put the guns away, and if you let's just make an even trade. I'll take this car. And they're like, fine. And I got that car. And then I put on 100,000 miles on it, and then here we are today. But the point being, I used to be like, things would just kind of work out where if they said, like, I have this uncanny luck when it comes to certain things where, you know what, I'll buy that. And then it turns out that a lot of times they don't work, but the one I bought works or something, kind of thing. So I just kind of took it for granted. But we started shopping for a car, and I was trying to be like, you know what? Okay, I'll go take a look at this car. And then I would get in it, and it was not me. It was screaming to me like, don't buy this, which is very different for me to be that adamant internally, to have that kind of issues, not wanting to. So I said, all right. I told my wife, I said, I've got problems, man. Because the way that she does it is she kind of researches online, finds these really good deals on low miles with like a good price and a quality brand that's going to last like for a long time and all this kind of thing. And I was trying to be really sort of chill about it and be like, you know what, just, and then it just kind of came to a point where she said, look, like, you need to do some soul searching, and ask yourself what you want. And before we do all this, like, and have to make some decisions, like, and, and then I was like, all right. And then she said, all right, well, and I said, I want this. And she said, all right, now let's go back and let's, and let's make some other decisions, because that's expensive and you're not going to get that one. That's not true. But she said we could get that, and then you're just going to, be in. She showed me like that. We talked about the cost and everything. We definitely had a budget of where we wanted to target. So there was dream vehicles that I wanted that I didn't really, I had to reconsider. I think it was, but that's okay. We landed on something that I think is going to be cool, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's a good car. But in that process, I went to one dealership, and I'm telling you, this guy, I had this thing where I was like, listen, the second that I feel like I'm being pitched to by a salesperson, I'm out. I don't want it, right? It's a horrible feeling to be like to be like sold to, when you feel that pressure, and then all of a sudden it's like, But this guy came around the corner, and everything from his shoes to his suit, I swear, the shape of his face screamed to me like salesperson. And so to put things in context, I had already gone to the dealership. I had went to one dealership, and the guy was really cool. He was really low pressure. We stood there looking at this car that my wife had already taken him through the ringer over the phone and I just wasn't feeling it. But he was very patient. Well, he showed me another one that my wife had found, and I'll tell you what, I went to one that she set up a meeting at, where she told the guy to meet up with me to show me cars, and like salespeople just would walk by me and they wouldn't even acknowledge me, and I was like, I'm supposed to meet, and I'd like try to wave people down, and I was like, you know what, I'm out, dude. It was such a bad experience. But anyway, I went to this one place, and we did this. And even though I left there, because the two vehicles that the guy showed me, I just wasn't feeling, I ultimately bought from him. And I'll tell you that story at the end. But so anyway, I didn't like those two vehicles. So then that puts me the next day. I went to this other dealership where the captain salesperson was. And from the get-go, this guy was just like, with his big gleamy smile, and so what can I put you in today, and all this kind of thing. And so I talked to your wife about this, and that speed talking, and then how about we take it for a spin? How much? You got 5 minutes? I can take you around the corner. You can do this one. And it was like, I don't want to drive too far because it was misty and rainy, and I was like, this dude. And we get back to the dealership, and he's like, so tell me what's holding you back from buying it right now. And I'm like, that's it. Dude, you're just too damn pushy, man. Like, you're pitching me, man. And I told you I don't want to be pitched to. Like, you're shutting me down. Like, I don't want to do this. And, but I was nice. I was like, you know what? It's just, I'm not sold yet. I really I kind of want these different things. And he's like, well, tell you what, how about I go look inside. I'm going to go talk to somebody. I'll be right back. Right. And so he gets, I have some other options. I want to show you these. And then I tell him what I wanted. And he's like, well, if you're willing to go above the budget that you had set with your wife, then we could start looking at those. And I was like, really? Because my wife showed me that type of vehicle that I wanted within the budget. It just wasn't at this dealership. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was a real turnoff that he lied out the gate, to kind of sort of to make me like he's doing me a favor by getting me into these vehicles that I don't want to be in, but they're within my budget. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to sell you something you don't want because I'm going to tell you it's within your budget, as opposed to trying to find what you really want and put you in that, right? It got to the point where I said, listen, man, I'm going to take this information home, and I'm going to talk to my wife, and then I'll give you a call tomorrow morning. He says, okay, but before you leave, I'm just going to go put these away, and then let me go get you my business card. I said, you get your business card. I'll take it. He goes and he brings his boss to come talk to me. Hey, Mr. Gonzalez, I hear that you're... No, I'm not talking to you, man. Like I told you, I got to go, dude. I literally had gone right after work, and I had to go to a show in 45 minutes post that. So I'm like, and he's like, listen, how about I take $1,000 off and we'll make this happen tonight? And I said, look, first of all, if you could have taken $1,000 off, you should have done that already. Like, just to try to get my business. If money could have been saved, you should be cutting me that deal without high pressuring me into doing it tonight. Right? But the second that the dude went and got his boss, or his boss felt that it was right to intervene in that situation, I was done. I was done. And he was like, let me walk in. I said, let me stop you right there. I'm going to take this information and I'm leaving. I have somewhere to be. Deuce. I'm out. And then I told my wife, I said, you can let that dude know we're not coming. We're not dealing with them anymore. Because then she sent a message to the first guy, the one that I told her that I enjoyed the experience but couldn't find the vehicle. And followed up and just said, hey, just letting you know, whatever. He wasn't really a fan of those two. He's looking for this. And 5 minutes later, the guy calls back and says, hey, I've got this. Low miles. An old man just turned it in. And we're going to put it through the 100-point inspection. I'll let you know tomorrow how it does with everything if you want to come see it. That an old man had just come in and turned the vehicle in. And let me tell you what, it doesn't even smell like old man. It smells like a brand new car, okay? So this was one of those special old persons that drove it so little and so lightly that it still smelled like a brand new car. It just needed, odds and ends. Oh, but let me tell you something else, though. On a side note, I mean, I don't really want to talk about what kind of vehicle it was. But anyway, all right. So it don't matter. You don't care. It's a Subaru Forester, okay? Now, it's, so I'm not going to tell you, whatever. They have this on a Subaru Forester where when you get to a red light or if you're stuck in traffic or it powers down. When the car starts moving ahead of you and you let go of the brake, it turns on and you go. Nobody told me this. Nobody said that to me. So it is the next day after I purchased the vehicle and I was in line to go into the parking garage of my job. And it goes, and I said, like, God, why have you forsaken me? You know what I mean? Like, I thought, geez, man, can I get one car that works without hassling? And I called and I lit up on I was like, can you believe this? And she's like, oh, slow your roll. I've heard of this. Let me research it. She calls me right back. Hey, Google it. This is an option. So I YouTubed it, and there's a button that you push, and it enables it. The only drag about it is that you have to do it every time you turn the car on. You have to say, nah, I don't want that option. But after it warms up and you're driving, like it can do that. Like if you want it to, it saves gas. It just powers you down whenever you're at a complete stop, and then you're on your way. But I even told the salesperson when I visited him today, I said, man, y'all messing with me, but not telling me that it did that. And if you go on YouTube and you research it, it's like the auto stop, like how to shut off to turn off this thing that shuts your car off. Yeah, like the guy's like, it's not bad unless you're in stop and go traffic, then it really starts to get on your nerves. I'm like, dude, somebody should tell me, because that's just ridiculous. I mean, I just thought I had a lemon, but it's a really good car, and I'm really happy about it. So anyway, guys, I got to tell you, I was pulled over. I was pulled over. I'm not proud of it, but okay. So I wish I could say that it was legitimate, like, belligerentness that caused this, but it wasn't. I left my show at 1:15 in the morning and downtown, and it was misty, like raining, light rain. Not only that, but hiking up the stairs and stuff, I had gotten into the vehicle, and this was right before I purchased the vehicle I'm in right now. And so I get in the car a little huffy, like having, hiked it all this way. And the windows start fogging up when I'm trying to get these windshield wipers to go and everything. So I'm messing with all of this, and I'm on autopilot. So I'm already driving out of the parking garage. I'm already at the light, and then, so on, right? And to say that I didn't have anything to drink is a lie. But just enough to where I felt a tinge of fear kind of creep over me. Because what happened was, I'm trying to get the window unfogged, and I hear the murr, and I look at the rear view, and I see the lights. And I hear like and I roll my window down a little bit and shut off the radio, whatever. And I hear, pull into the parking lot. I need you to pull into the parking, So I'm like, oh, what's happening? What is this? So I pull into this parking area that had like a covered parking. And I swear it's the suspense that gets you, right? So I pull in, go into the thing, and so I'm like, my hands are on the wheel, and then my hands are down. I said, trying to review everything of how I'm going to be, whatever. And I'm thinking, what could I have done? What could I have done to make him want to pull me over? I mean, because I definitely wasn't speeding. I didn't run any lights. So I said, he must think I'm drunk. He's just on a sobriety check. And then all of a sudden, I had this, like, a panic attack. Because I've ever told you stories, like, it's when you get busted for something you're not doing. Like, I remember being cut off at a bar because I couldn't pronounce the beers. It was like one of those where they have 100 different beer types. And I was like, let me have a bubba. And he's like, you're cut off, man. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm fine. I just can't pronounce Hinterschlitz, whatever that, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go buy a Bud Light. So anyway, you don't want to be like told that you're drunk, or like, it can happen even though you're not, right? Like, it maybe smells the whiskey on your breath or something. So, but it's that panic that makes you mess up even more. So then it's a spiraling, like, okay, like, don't ask me, like, to do a sobriety check. Like, that's just whatever, right? And so I had the hands on thing and the roll the window down. Here I am. He comes up and he says, all right, you made 2 turns without signaling. You made 2 turns and you didn't signal. Is everything all right? And I said, yeah, everything's fine. I left a show I just finished playing. And in the middle of what I was saying, he says, have you been drinking? I was so embarrassed by this. Have you been drinking? And I didn't miss a beat. I don't know why I said this. A little bit. So embarrassed. I don't know why I said it like that. But in that moment of, like, calculator mind, where you have a bajillion thoughts at once, and you like weigh the the consequence of saying different things. I knew I couldn't say that I hadn't drank anything at all. I didn't want to lie because I didn't want to be read as a liar and then him push it further. And I didn't want to be like, yeah, I've been guzzling it since, 9 o'clock, just go, 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 go. So I just was like, a little bit. And he's like, okay, I need you to shut the car off and get out of the car. I was like, no, I will not, officer. And even in that moment, I was like, how did that Jay-Z song go? And so, where like he tells him, I'm not getting out the car or whatever. Anyway. I said, certainly, officer. And I turned the car off. And I was like, get yourself together, son. Like, you got to figure out your shit right now. Like, need to stop. You're messing yourself up. And so I got off the car. He said, I need you to stand on that square. And I started making things worse. Because I stood on the square and then involuntarily I started moving my arms up, like I was going to walk a tightrope. And he was like, it's not that kind of party. We're not doing that today. And I was like, what an idiot. Like, all I told that cop was like, I must do this all the time because I'm already ready to walk a line for you, friend. He's like, here's a pen. I need you to follow it with your eyes and not move your head, right? Which is, is this a party trick? Like, are you trying to get me to do something that normally I would still move my head, stone sober, I would move my head to follow that pen? Like, whatever. I thought you were going to ask me to read the alphabet backwards or something cool, but all right. So he's asking me questions and I'm answering him. And every now and then he's going, stop moving your head. And I said, I'm not trying to move my head, man. And so I guess the quality of my answers was better than my head movement because he was convinced that I was not inebriated, but he still thought I was not very smart, I guess, because I was like, following this pen with my stupid face. But I held it together long enough to show him that I had control of my faculties. But he ended up just being like, look, if you could prove to me that you were at a show, and so I showed him some Facebook or some thing where I was singing and said, this isn't from tonight, but look, it's the same place. And then he's like, I'll let you off with a warning, just mind your signals and, oh my goodness. But and it's not related, but I didn't drink all weekend this weekend because I was kind of just done with the whole thing. I unfortunately have had because I just sip a little whiskey to kind of clear the throat. But, you could create the same effect with a little bit of honey and a ton of water. So I've just been doing that. But between the previous week where I told you the story about being convinced that I was being chased and ending up feeling like a cardiac event, and then this, I just felt like I need to just sort of chill out a little bit and not be so crazy. But I was a little bit, it's funny, when I got today, I went to do I got my teeth worked on, and then I literally left the house at 7 a.m. And then I drive across town to the car dealership. And then I'm on my way back after having everything fixed and everything's, on point. And it's 11. So I've been gone all day. And then I get a call from my wife and she says, man, I'm telling you, the baby's pizza's not even ready in the oven. and I've got 15 minutes, and if it's not ready, I got to get the dog to this groomer because my dog, starts smelling pretty bad. Like I've shown you this giant dog, and she needs to get, done up and, get her nails done and her bath and whatnot. And I said, you're not seriously asking me to stop at the house for 5 seconds to pick up the dog and to take the dog to groomer. Like, you're not seriously doing that to me right now, are you? And she said, I can't believe you would even insinuate that. All I'm trying to do is let you know what's happening in my life and share a little bit about what's going on in my life. And I said, you know what? Whoa. I apologize. You just want to vent. You're just trying to tell me what's up, what you're going through in life. You just want a listening ear. I apologize. And then she said, but if you could take the dog. And I said, told you. I started laughing. Said, I tell you, ma'am, I know you. No, it's just that the baby's pizza's not made. I said, yeah, but I know that you're calling me to ask me to take the dog, knowing full well that I haven't been, done with stuff since 7 this morning. Because that's the way certain conversations go with the wife. Is she wants to take the long way, when all you have to do is just tell the person, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, the paint ain't even dry on this car. Like, it's just been all polished up and brand new. And you want me to put that stank dog in my car? We'll lay a blanket down. Smash cut. And here I am driving with this big old beast of a dog drooling all over my new console. And that dog loves to ride. And she's looking at me, all big old smile with slobber all over her face, and leaning her head on the chair, and ugh. But that's another secret about me. I don't really like new things. Everything with new things, it's always like you have to be hyper vigilant over every little detail of it. You don't want it to mess up. Give me something that has a few cracks in it so my cracks don't, stick out too bad. That's all you need. But the other day we were driving, her and I, and she gets paranoid. She thought she's sick, right? So she's like, I don't want to get you sick. So we're driving, and she's got the windows halfway rolled down on both. And we passed by this like a stockyard kind of petting zoo sort of, and this whiff of just animal crap and like just animal waste flows into the car. And she says, oh, did you burp? And I said, honey, like, how bad is my breath to you if you think that I burp and, donkey crap comes out? You know what I mean? She says that her olfactory glands were not working properly because of a post-COVID issue. Like she can't smell right. I said, no, you smell just perfectly fine with your Omicron, whatever. It don't mess your nose up that bad. No. She's just being silly. Anyway, that's checking in. How y'all been? I really want y'all to let me know in the messages, send something in to lostlikemike@gmail. Leave something in the comments about it. But I do like responding to folks, and I think that's good for this week. I want to just touch base with y'all, see how y'all doing. But I will talk to y'all next week. Okay. I'll see you.